name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today there's something new on the channel, something I've never done before, a Game Boy Pocket. Now, guess who sent this to me? Yes, most of you already know, it is Elliot from the Retro Future. So, I recently bought a watch off one of Elliot's friends who was visiting London, this little 1970s beauty here. Ignore the strap, I'm still working out different colours. And yeah, Elliot, while the friend was over, gave him this to give to me. And I think it came out in 1996, this. And I believe this is like one of the first Game Boy Pockets, so it says MGB001. Now MGB already brings a smile to me because I actually own two MGB GTs, so not the convertible cars, but the ones with the fixed roof. And that was the first car I properly restored, as in the MGB, I had a white MGB, a chrome bumper one, and yeah, I had to change the sills and everything on it, and I did it all myself, taught myself how to weld, and I really enjoyed it. And I remember getting the MOT for that was one of my proudest moments, because I bought a car that had been off the road, just dumped in somebody's garden for the past 10 or 15 years. The thing had holes in it everywhere, and I made it structurally sound, and I learned a lot about cars, and then I went on to drive it for a few years. But anyway, I'm deviating from the point of this video here, which is trying to fix up this Game Boy Pocket. So with this one, as you can see, the screen is completely gone, but I have watched enough of Elliot's videos to know that that can be fixed. So I have got a polarizer on order. But what's more exciting for me is the fact that this isn't actually turning on. So not only have we got a screen problem, but even though the contacts here look quite clean, it's not even turning on, which is good. Now with this one here, because this is the first Game Boy Pocket, there isn't actually a power indicator. But look, when I turn it on here, I can't hear any sound, and I've got volume up, and the contrast is about halfway because there's a little notch on it there, and there's nothing happening. Turn it off, take that out. I know this game's working because I've tried it in a Game Boy Color that I have. So there's nothing happening here, is there? So let's get straight into it. Let's take it apart and see if we can measure voltage in different places to find out what's going wrong with it. Is it just going to be a dodgy switch, or is it going to be something more interesting? Now, although it looks immaculately clean, it looks in really good condition, it does look like the screws themselves look just a little bit corroded. There we go, because I've already got sidetracked, I pulled out this one here, just covering up the number plate. I don't know whether there's any need to, but anyway, this was it here. You can see I think it were called rose style wheels, and they were in chrome as well. It was, I loved that car, and it meant so much more to me, the fact that I pretty much knew, I didn't take apart the engine. It already had a gold seal engine, so the engine had already been done. But apart from the engine itself, most other things were apart in that car, and it meant then that I was happy to fix it again in the future, because I understood a lot of it just from restoring it. Now obviously it's not a nut and bolt restoration like you would do nowadays. I was only, however old I was, maybe 21 or something at the time, so funds and stuff didn't allow it to be a perfect restoration. But as I say, it was good enough to get on the road and get an MOT and get me around for a few years. I went everywhere in that car. I had a Webasto sunroof as well that I had to recover again. If you looked at it now, you think it was awful, but at the time it kept the rain out, and it looked a lot better than what was there beforehand. Love that car. And after that I got this one here, and I think this was called Damask Red, but this was a rubber bumpered one, so it rode higher, and I changed it over to chrome bumpers, and that was a P-Reg. So I think that was, I forget now, would that be 1976 or something like that? So that would have been an early rubber bumpered one. Right, so we've got 4 tri-ring screws here and also 2 here, so 6 altogether. Yeah, it's definitely heavily pitted there, isn't it? Okay, well they're well rusty there, aren't they? Look at them. Right now, what we got here? Speaker down here. So I suppose we'll put some batteries into it, and well, actually we don't need to yet. Let's just see if the switch is working, just in case the switch isn't turning on. So let's go to continuity and let's zoom in a little bit. Right, so it's saying off and on, and that corresponds. So when you add the red up here, it's on, and that corresponds to here, off and on. So if I was to go between maybe 3 and 1, I'm thinking that it's not going to make a sound. And now if I do this, let's see if it makes a sound. No. How about here? Okay, does that make a sound here? Ah, so it looks like the switch is working. So would that be the common there? Oh, so the switch is working, isn't it? Right, okay, not the switch, which, do you know what? That is a good thing. So now, what could it be? What could it be? Should we take it apart further? I mean, we definitely know that there's corrosion. Let's just have a close look at the contrast thing. Thing is, I'm not hearing any sounds, am I? So if the contrast wheel was broken and we wouldn't see anything on screen, I would still hear the sound. Unless, of course, the speaker's gone. Let's have a quick test of the speaker. Let's just go to ohms. Go across here. Yes, that's a 10 ohm speaker, so I think that's okay. Right, what is wrong with this? Let's take it apart some more. Already, I'm interested. For me, it's the fault finding that I like the most, discovering what the problem is rather than the fixing of it. So I know now that that screen is just going to be a horrendous job to do, scraping all that glue and everything off, and sharp knife, good chance of cutting myself. But this is the part that I like, trying to find out what it is. But then where it gets a little bit disheartening is when you go so far into it and you're not getting anywhere, and then you have the realization that you're probably not going to be able to fix it. So just lift those little things up to take the screen out. Okay. Right, I think I'm going to get my power supply and put 3 volts into this, and then I don't have to keep messing around with the batteries. Right, so how's this done? Let's just work this out. So these are connected to each other. So these are in series, aren't they? So we're going to have negative connected here. So we're going to have 3 volts, and this is the positive. A bit confusing when you see a negative here, but this one here is the positive, and this is the negative. Right, so that's 3 volts. Now let's turn it on. Right. Oh, I just heard the noise. Did you hear the noise there? Let's put the volume up. I just heard the noise. So, is it the screen? Which is the volume now? Is it the screen which is causing this not to work? There we go. Hopefully you heard that. So now, it wasn't doing that before. So the screen looks like it's putting a fault on it. Right, so I suppose we need to pop the screen back on just to see if by the very act of taking it apart, whether it's cleaned it up a little bit. I mean, the contacts there look okay, don't they? Again, I can see corrosion. Can you see corrosion down here? Yeah, this has definitely had battery leakage. Right, so let's just try it with the power supply again, and then we can worry about the batteries afterwards. Yeah, there we go. So now if I was to put a game in, turn it on, maybe we'd get more sound. So that's with the screen working. So is it just bad battery contacts? So now let's turn this off and let's put this back together. Maybe, the thing is, it looks perfect. The battery contacts look perfect. We'll give it a go. Nothing. How weird is that? And yet they look perfect. Right, let's do that one more time. So maybe if I had a DC jack, that would have just worked straight away. Right, let's pop this out. Let's measure for voltage. Oh, I should be able to just reach here, shouldn't I? 3 volts. Hold on, it's jumping around the place. 1 second, let me get a really good contact. Oh, look at that. And I'm on that, good. What is causing that? Is there a cold solder joint or something? Let's zoom right in. Let's get rid of this screen, because we don't need to have the screen, because we can hear it going on enough. So now, let's just do it gently, just to see. So I'm just tapping it here, and tapping it here. Right, so that is definitely working. Okay, so this is the positive one up here, and it goes through here. So let's give that a wiggle. Right, that looks like a nice strong connection. Yeah, so now let's look at this side. So that just goes through here. Unless, could it be corrosion here? Let's see. Don't know, it all looks pretty clean. Right, now let's give it a wiggle this side and see if the joints are going to break. So I'm wiggling the bottom one. Looks okay, doesn't it? Now the top one. What is going on? I think that looks absolutely fine, but yet we're not getting a reading here. This should be simple. Look at that. Now, they're not loose. They're nice and tight. Those springs are not loose. Right, so we're definitely measuring 3 volts there, but I am touching the battery rather than the contact. Now we've got 3 volts. Yeah, we've got 3 volts now. Is it just a bad contact here? Because there definitely has been signs of corrosion. Is it this side here, I wonder? This one here, I bet it's there. Yeah, look, it's not jumping around anymore. Okay, so that was just a bad contact there, which is weird because it actually looked pretty good. So now let's just put this back together, enough just to test it. Right, this time we should have success. There we go. Oh, and I've seen it do a little quick colour change. Yeah, and again another colour change. Yeah, and the contrast, can you see it's doing something? Right, okay, so I think that is probably going to be okay. So what we have to do now is do the horrible job. I haven't got the polarizer yet. That doesn't mean I can't take off the old one. So let's get involved with that. Now I've watched enough of Elliott's videos to know that you have to have a blade in the corner, and I think it's a long process. Now on Elliott's videos I see he does a little wiggle here and then the screen normally comes out, so let's see how easy or hard that is. Nice and easy. Okay, I'm slightly worried. Look up here, can you see this pattern here? Ooh. And that's on the back, isn't it? Wow, look at that. I mean, that's just awful, isn't it? Now, I read up about how this happens, and I think it's to do with playing it in the sun. So I'm wondering, is it the glue they used originally? You know, that sort of UV glue to put the polarizer on, that the glue's just gone just gone off and broken down. But really, that is just amazingly burnt, isn't it? But this is what's worrying me. You see this bit here, this at the back. So I'm wondering now, even with another polarizer, will this have like shadows on the back, you know, when you can kind of see through? Because isn't there a reflective bit? Isn't there a bit of foil in here somewhere? And if that's damaged, then it gives the screen a bit of a funny look. But anyway, look, we're going to have to take this off anyway to see what's going on. So let's get a blade, and we're going to try to take it off from this area here. Here it goes. Now, where do I go under here? But I don't know how fragile these screens are. It's coming off okay. Some of you are wanting to hear that crack, aren't you, where the screen goes? Come on. This is going to take hours to clean. Well, it's got a distinct. Do you know what it smells of? Oh yeah, it's quite nice. Yeah, that smells off spray paint. You know when you're spraying your car. Yeah, after you've bodged it all with filler. That's just what it smells of. I'll be getting high later in the video. God, we can really smell it now. Here we go. Well, that came off a lot easier than I thought, but I think it's this glue which is a nightmare to come off. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try to get some WD-40 on this. If that doesn't work, I am then going to use IPA. Right, let's give this a go to begin with, and see what happens. Just going to let it sit on there for a while. It's rock hard at the moment. It doesn't feel like adhesive whatsoever. It just feels hard and crusty. Just going to start in this little corner down here. See, is it going to make any difference? Yeah, it is. It is making a difference there. Actually, do you know what? I don't think it's going to take too long. You can see this bit here. Let's just do this complete corner bit. Well, there you go. I did that in real time there, so you can see that we want it like that all the way over. So I don't think it's going to take hours. I've got a feeling. Well, I tell you what, and this will give me a chance to show off my new 1970 watch. Let's set. Don't want to get WD-40 on it. Let's set the stopwatch on it. Okay. So around here we've got a 30-minute stopwatch here. So let's time it and see how we get on. So I'm just going to fast forward through all of this now. Oh, look at that. I'm only about a minute into it. It's coming off real nice, but look, it's also burnt through the back polarizer as well. Now Elliot did tell me if the back one's gone, it's pretty much game over. But look, let's carry on for the moment, and you never know, there may be a way that we could do something to look at the back polarizer. Well, I'm just going to clean it with IPA now, but you can see the bits I was worried about. Yeah, so remember here and here, and now that corresponds to here and here. So you can see that even with the polarizer on, that screen is, I think it's probably game over. Well, I'm just going to finish off with IPA now, just to try to get the WD-40 off it. That's it. What did it take there? About 12 minutes, so not too bad at all. So it's come up good. I might actually try ringing Elliot just to see what his take on it is. And let's put him in there. Let's put him here now, and then we can get his opinion. Elliot, here he comes. Here he comes. Hold on, I don't know if I've got you in shot. Look at that. Look at that face. How's things?
I'm good. What's up?
I'm working on your little Game Boy Pocket, as you can see here. Can you see there and there where it goes?
Yeah,
where it goes from white to kind of grey. And look, if you turn it over, we've got the white to grey there, and
yeah, that's
awesome. And we've also got a big screen burn, so that's on the back polarizer. So obviously I have the glass, the two panels of the glass LCD. Then is there another polarizer similar to this? And then
so it's exactly the same as that, and then the reflective film is adhered to that. So
sure.
when you're peeling it off, you want to make sure that you're pulling up something that's that thick, because if it's any thinner than that, it will be just the reflector you're peeling off. And
yeah.
obviously that's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, and the reflective bit must be the thing that's giving me this horrible shadow here and here. Yeah, so that's just going to be basically kind of like foil. So in theory, can I use the polarizer, if I could get it off without breaking anything, can I use the same iPad polarizer that I'm buying for the front on the back, and then maybe use a Nintendo Switch silver foil thing to remake this particular one?
In theory, yeah. The only thing I would say is the polarizer that you've ordered, the sticky adhesive polarizer, is a bit of a nightmare to adhere it on the front without getting any bubbles or dust or anything like that.
Yeah.
But on the back, it's even harder, because obviously you're going to have ribbon cables that are going to be in the way. So on the back, I always just use a non-adhesive one. Okay. Which you'll get when you order a backlight on eBay. It will come with a non-adhesive one already made and pre-cut for the Game Boy Pocket.
In the right orientation and stuff.
In the right orientation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But in theory, it could be possible to get this one to work again. Maybe by a polarizer at the back and also a silver kind of screen.
Oh yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, you could use the reflective material again on the back, but I would just go for a backlight, because if you're going to go through the effort of removing the back polarizing filter, you might as well put a backlight in and then add some more function to it, you know?
Yeah. And is that an eBay thing? Is that just a backlight you buy off eBay, or?
Yeah, they're like £5-10.
Okay, well I'll tell you what I'll do, because it's a My Mate Vince video, I will try to mess around with the back, and if it all goes wrong, then I can always get a backlight.
Well, it's already gone as wrong as it's going to go. The only other thing you can do now is actually tear. So if you flip it over for a minute.
Yeah.
So there's 2 points that break. You see where it hits the green. No, not that. It's actually so yeah, that can tear very easily. Here. Here, and then also a little bit further up, and then more to the center. No. See where the actual pins are.
Oh, here.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, that's I've got stuff to go on now. I think I will attempt the back thing just because I want to give it a go. I want to see how it works.
Wait, there's no harm, is there?
Not really.
You're not going to want to play a game with a big black splodge in the middle.
No,
so it's been worthy without trying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So as it is now, it's better than it was, but it's still far from perfect. So it's kind of still useless. So it's worth a go. Excellent.
Yeah. Good luck, Vince.
Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of the video.
Lovely. Cheers, Elliot. Thanks, mate. I'll see you soon. Bye. There we go. So that is it from Elliot himself. I think everything that he says does make sense. So this here definitely looks like some sort of water damage, and look, it corresponds to the fact that these screws here are as rusty as could be. So although the outside is immaculate, sometimes it doesn't take much to clean up the outside of something. There must have been some sort of water damage or liquid damage that got down here, and I've seen exactly the same thing on Nintendo Switches. You can live with that, but there is a bit of a shadow type thing on the screen, but this here would be irritating. So yeah, let's give things a go. Right, this is what my thinking is. So this is the Nintendo Switch one here, and I can't actually see where the polarizer is. I think it's actually built into this front part of the screen. So I haven't really tried scraping anything away, but look, I could definitely use that reflective bit at the back there, couldn't I? Yeah? What's interesting is, look at this, a whole array of LEDs. I wonder, there's 4 contacts here, and with these LEDs, if I get my meter and put it to diode test, definitely working. Watch this. Wouldn't it be nice if I could do some sort of homemade backlight on here? Yeah, if something could be done. Now, I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be trying to get the polarizer off the Nintendo Switch, but look here. I wonder if that's going to fit. A bit small. I've got these old screens here, so this is a broken screen because look at the ribbon cable. Can you see the ribbon cable's broken? That was from these old little ones. I did a video on these ages ago, these fake little Chinese knockoffs. So this is supposed to be a copy of the PlayStation Portable, and then you'll just have a load of games in here. You'll get the idea, these sort of things. Interestingly, when you take out the cart, there's a lot more games. All this cart does, it just bridges 2 pins in here to give you a load more games. So I've taken the screen out of here, and look, that's definitely a polarizer there, isn't it? And look, here at the back, there's another polarizer. So this one's hard to get off, but look, I just started it there. So I wonder if I could possibly maybe use these, or what I'm thinking is, do I really want to get really involved with this one here if there's lines all over the screen? There we go. So I'm pretty sure that these are polarizers here. So what I'm thinking is of putting the Game Boy back together. Looks, we've got backlights here as well, and just using it with this polarizer here to see whether there's lines everywhere. If there's lines everywhere, then maybe that will make up my mind not to take it any further. Now when I was just looking through my eye loop, you can see this line here. Look how easy this is coming off here. But that isn't, that's just the back little bit there. That isn't the reflective film or the polarizer. This is just like the backing for it. Yeah. Before we take that any further, I think we should put it back together just to see if there's lines all over the screen. Oh, here it is! It's here! I can see it. There! Look at that! Right, well, apart from the back, well, okay, I've made up my mind now that that is unplayable because it's horrible. But I can't see any lines. Excellent, God, it really is. Oh, look at that now. Look at all the different colours. Orangey down to green. Right, let's try this one here. We've got a nice purple here. Nice pink. Down to yellow down here. There you go, that's a good one there. Well, look, the screen itself looks okay, doesn't it? So like Elliot said, I have just been unlucky with having the don't stick to it, don't stick. I have just been unlucky with having the back one gone as well. Right, I think I'm going to have to use macro because I just want to see this very first bit. Right, so I want to go up, I want to go under here, don't I? Ooh. Right, so that's ripped there, but what's that? Oh, that's taken off both layers, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine. Annoyingly, it's breaking, it's not coming off nicely. See there, it's leaving a line behind. Okay, I'm going to start at this corner here. See if this comes apart any better. Right, okay, well that's both layers, so I'm going to start peeling from there. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. Now, let's keep it nice and flat. Right, now it's starting to come. There we go. Right, now I've got to go under this ribbon cable. This is going to be hard. Come on now. Come on. Home straight. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. You've left stickiness behind there. Oh, right, okay. Well, that wasn't too bad. I don't think I've damaged the ribbon cables. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that stickiness. That's the stickiness off there. So now what I have to do is I have to try and clean the glass front and back. And what I'm wondering is, how do I know which way to put these? Or do I just stick on the back and then just keep doing the front different positions until it looks right? The problem is these are not going to be big enough, are they, to do in different positions? Or would it just be the same as the way they came off? Possibly. Maybe they will just work as you know, rectangles. It's worth a go, just purely to you know, see what's happening. I have got the proper ones on order. Well, not the proper ones, but I've got bigger iPad ones on order. Right, so I've got one of them here. Obviously there's going to be a few bits of fibres, there's going to be damaged here where I peeled it off, but let's put it on the back and see what it looks like. What I've done is I've put it under the tap to wipe away most of the fibres and the fingerprints, and then I've dried it with a hairdryer, and it might look okay, I'm not sure. So I don't know which way this is supposed to go on, so it's just going to be pot luck. So let's just put it on like this. Again, I think it's going to be too small. Let's just see what it looks like. Oh yeah, you can really see all the air bubbles now, can't you? Couldn't see them before, but now that you put the foil on, they're everywhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mess around with the front one, wherever that's gone. Yeah, unfortunately it's not going to line up. Right, I'll have to have a think about whether I want to take this any further today, or should I wait until the proper one arrives. My slight worry is it's really hard to see. Even when I line it up, it still doesn't look good. Right, I'll get back to this video when I've worked out what I'm doing. The air bubble situation is not getting any better. Every time I take it apart and clean it, the next time I just get more and more air bubbles, because it only takes a tiny bit of dust, and you can see how many air bubbles there are. So I don't think I'm going to win on that. But I've been messing around with this old broken LCD here to think if there's a way I could backlight this one. And look, I've got my bench power supply set to 3 volts, and if I go between here and here, right, so it's going to be positive up top. There, look. There. So we know that it lights up on 3 volts. Now, what I did is I tested with my multimeter here, and if I go into this little DC to DC converter down here between VCC and ground, I'm getting 3 volts, which I presume is pretty much straight from the battery. Obviously, if I was to take it from here, I would always have 3 volts, but when I take it from here, when I turn it off, the 3 volts goes. So I presume it goes from here to the switch, then down to here. So if I was to put 2 wires from here to here, in theory, every time I turn it on, I would have it backlit. So I think I might mess around with that for the time being. Now, of course, you can get proper backlit stuff, but this is just like kind of experimenting, isn't it? So that's what I'm going to work on for a while. So I'm going to get my soldering iron, and I'm just going to desolder where it joins onto the board here. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. Excellent, that came off nice. And now, if I was to peel this off, I suppose I could leave it on here. And look, there's a little diffuser. Can you see here? So this kind of slots into the grooves here, and I presume it diffuses the light all the way across. I might mess around with this and see if it makes it look any better. Like that. What I'm not sure about is where you're supposed to put the foil now. Does the foil go behind that, or does it just go like this? So I'm going to see, thing is with that, will it even fit into the Game Boy? Because I don't want to damage the case on this, because the case is the good bit off it. So what I'm intending to do is get some wires from here, solder them onto here, and then start trying to get it back together. It's going to probably take me quite a while, so I'm just going to do this bit off camera, and then I'll just start filming again as I go through each stage of the process. So I've just cut it down to size, so you can see now we've got the lights across this side here going through the diffuser, and the remains of it are over here. And now, if I put 3 volts from my bench power supply, just going to lower the current down. Let me just see what my current's at. Lower the current down to 0.15 amps. Now let's see if it lights up at all. There we go. Problem is, I can see right the way through it, so do I now need to put foil on the back as well? I suppose I do, because I want it all to be shining forward, not through the back, because otherwise that's completely see-through. So I'm going to put another layer of foil at the very back behind it all now. Right, so I've got it playing now. Annoyingly and very worryingly, I'm having to kind of put the cotton bud under here to get it to work. Otherwise the screen disappears. So I'm wondering if these contacts here are getting a little bit iffy, or maybe it's the ribbon cables where it's attaching onto the screen. But anyway, let's see now if this is going to make any difference. That's with it on and off. Does that make any difference at all? Not really, is it? Maybe it would though if the lighting was a bit bad in here. You know, if well, actually think about it, it's not going to make a difference unless the room's dark. This room is very light at the moment because I've got a load of lights everywhere. Do you know what? For the fun of it, I'm just going to solder 2 wires from here to here, and we'll see how we run with that. So I've got the backlight wired into here, but it's only working when I put pressure in certain parts of the screen, which is annoying. See? Right, the camera wasn't filming. which is always the way when something goes well. But right, so all I'm doing here is just making sure I've got like a pool of solder on my soldering iron, and it's up here where it's actually making the connections from the green to the yellow or orange or gold. Right, there we go, they've all got solder on them now, so hopefully that should be okay. Now let's put it back together and see if it's going to work. Let's give this a quick clean up. It's a very clean Game Boy, really clean considering it's 24 years old. So here we have it all back together, and you can see it's just a whole heap of air bubbles. So you need to look past the polarizer. So once the proper one arrives, they should go on a lot better than that, hopefully without any air bubbles at all. So ignore that, but let's just see if the backlight and stuff is working. So turn it on here. Okay, so there we go, we've got Nintendo there. That looks clear enough, doesn't it? Now obviously there's a lot of glare around the place, but you can read it. Press start. There we go. Now this is the French version, Pokemon Blue. Look at that. That's pretty good, sounds okay, and that's pretty clear, isn't it? I think when I get the polarizers, I think that will look okay. Now, that's how you would normally play it, but now let's see with the lights off to see how the backlight is performing. So normally when you turn the lights off, you shouldn't be able to use this. Look at that! You can see it. You can actually see it. So the backlight is working. Looks very messy down this side here. Maybe I need to move it over a little bit, but look at from the different angles. And this room is dark now. A few days have passed since that part of the video, and my polarizer's now arrived. I've been bitten by a swan.
Here's Johnny!
Pine cones hit me on the hand. Oof! And I've got my age-appropriate strap for my watch, so everything's good. Now, I've been wondering what to do about this one because I've actually bought a backlight. I bought a backlight for £8 or £9 from eBay because I thought to myself, if it's going to be backlit, surely it'd be better to have a proper backlight than, for example, have one that's got shadows on this side here. The problem is, I'm thinking now, who really would be playing this in 2020? I think the only people playing this are going to be people who want to have the experience of what it was like years ago, you know, relive their youth a bit, or collectors. So I'm thinking by putting a backlight into this one, I'm thinking it's taken away from it because it's not original anymore. Now obviously by putting in different polarizers, it's not original anymore, but I think it's better to have it working with polarizers rather than a burnt screen. So I'm thinking about trying to make this one back original as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my backlight from here. I know that's going to sort of, people will think that's a bit silly because a backlit one is making it better. So I think the originality is more important than having something which looks good, because there's going to be 100 other devices that you can play these games on which look better than this. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be removing my backlight from it, removing the two polarizers that I just pieced together, and I'm going to be putting in this one here. And you can see here I've got plenty of room to play around with the colorings on here, and this line is purely on the protective film. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm not going to film it because I've already filmed loads on this one here. I'm just going to be taking everything apart again, making sure the screen is perfectly clean, no hairs, no bits of stickiness or anything on it, and then I'm going to be putting the polarizers front and back and then putting it back together, and hopefully it will look more original. So next time you see this, I'm hoping it will look good. Right, a very quick update. Do you remember I was going to be using the reflective back from the Nintendo Switch? Well look, when I put it on here, even though they're both perfectly clean, watch this. There you go, can you see there? And it's looking like air bubbles, so I'm going to have to use a different backing. Now I've been experimenting with the backing that came with the PSP ones here, and this actually looks really nice when it's on here, so I'm going to be using this as the backing. At long last I'm finished. So this is what it looked like before, and now it looks like this. It resembles a Game Boy again. So if I turn it on, you'll see the Nintendo logo will come down. There we go. Now ignore the shadow in here, that's just because the screen is set in. If I move it to here, you can see the shadow will move, and it will move again. Yeah, but this is it here. Let's just start it, because the home screen looks nice. There we go. If I mess around with the contrast, you can see there. I think that looks about right. There. Right, let's lower it down. So, yeah, how did it go? I think it went okay for my first attempt. It's not perfect. The biggest thing that gave me the problem was the reflective strip at the back. So I slid the white thing in, which made it look nice, but then it was see-through. So then I had to put the reflective strip behind the white thing. And the problem is the white thing had a little bit of a crease in, and you can see this crease. So that crease there isn't on the front polarizer, the back one, or the LCD. It's on that tiny little thin white strip that went in there. So if I was to backlight this one, that would disappear. So in hindsight, it would have been quicker for me just to backlight this, but I think I made the right decision. Not too sure. I think I did by trying to keep it original. If I could get the proper reflective film for the back, which they may exist, then I think then this would be, I think it would nearly be perfect. But remember, by changing the polarizer, I presume you're probably slightly changing the shade of it. But look, the bottom line is it looked like this before, and it was unplayable because it wasn't even working, even though the screen was like this. But I got it working, and I got the screen sorted out. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with it. So massive thumbs up to Elliot for helping me out and also sending this out to me. What I didn't mention before was that the front polarizer is adhesive, the back one is not. So if you're interested in anything Game Boy related, you probably already know his channel, but if you don't, definitely head over there and you'll see some nicely edited videos on all the different generations of Game Boys, and also weird and wonderful accessories that go with them as well. So that is it for this video. I'm pleased, and hopefully in the future I might be able to get some other Game Boy fixes in. So yeah, that is it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care. Bye now.